you are new to the business and just doing your first deals, or if you're established in this business. But we do not talk about enough about business ownership, right? Because think about it, guys. You know, hopefully I'm not gonna offend anyone. Someone who sells Rodan and Fields is not a business owner, in my opinion, right? I think that's a nice side hustle and you can make some money doing it, but you're not running a business. Each of you are running a business because you have expenses, you have revenue, you have income and loss, and there are you have an obligation to yourself to track all of these things and to stay organized, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen if you don't? One, you don't hold your money accountable. You can't play red light, green light with your expenses because you don't know where your money's going. You're going to get into a bad tax situation because you don't realize you should be setting aside money for taxes that are going to come due. You don't have any sort of ability to track or monitor where you're at in terms of your goals, right? And every year you're just going to be kind of hoping that you bring home the amount of money that you need to sustain your life. And that's being reactive, not proactive. And that's not how you run a business, right? A business has a plan, has regular check-ins, has all the people that are head of different departments. In your business, you are all of those. So you owe it to yourself, in addition to selling real estate, to making sure that you stay organized from a business standpoint. So this is what my business partner and I did last year. And many of you know, last year we dissolved our team and we all became just individual agents. And it was Mark who was on a month ago or so talking about social media. So for Mark and I, we had a very successful business in terms of selling homes and making money. But the take home, the end of the day, the profit wasn't where we wanted it to be. And it wasn't anyone in particular's fault, but we looked at the whole business and we made the decision to dissolve it. And that has resulted in me being more profitable than ever because I've gotten my expenses way down. I'm more aware of my numbers at all times now than I've ever been. And I can't emphasize enough the importance in you guys knowing these things. There's many business agents in this business that sell a lot of houses, make a lot of production, but don't actually take home that much money or don't know how much they take home.
I mean, to piggyback on or to reemphasize everything that you're saying, I'm having a good year. And I just saw Rob just jumped on. And I told him that a couple days ago. And in common Rob fashion, he looked at me and he said, well, what have you been doing differently? Right? That's what he asks everybody. And for me, it was, I'm more mindful of what I'm doing. I can't put it any other way. I'm just mindful of what I'm doing every day. And part of it was what Tanzania said she got out of Bold, right? You have to be your brand daily. But the other thing was last fall, I went to one of Trevor's classes on the MREA, the profit model. And I made a commitment to get my bank in line. I opened up a second account for just my business stuff. I downloaded the chart of accounts. I started keeping track of everything in QuickBooks, paying myself, really, really following it. The only thing I haven't done was put in all the money for lead gen that I should be for the amount of money I'm making, because there's a model. And that is a huge part of that awareness that Matt's talking about, and being mindful of what you're doing. And I credit that to a lot of what's going on with my business right now. We're just about to end the third quarter, so we're in September. You should start planning October 1st for next year, because everything that you do shows up in the next 90 days. So just because it's the end of the year, it's actually the perfect time to really start zeroing in and doing the analysis of your business as it's been in the past, right? And knowing what it looks like so that you can start 2021 with a bang, right? And being mindful of it. And that's why we start talking about that stuff now, even though it seems like we've still got, quite a while to go. it's the perfect time to start reviewing that stuff and talking about it.
Hey, Derek, I'm just curious. Was there any ever discussions around this type of stuff at your old brokerage?
No.
Oh,
I worked for a Keller Williams, not Keller Williams, Polo Bank, and he owns multiple ones, and he really focuses just on his family and that group of them, and everybody else is kind of hung out to dry. So you're not on the inside, you are on the outside.
okay.
But this has been coming here is just been way overwhelming on how much to know and to grow, and it's really taken me this whole time to really grasp everything we need to know here.
That's
These
awesome.
systems are awesome. I mean, I learned more through working with you guys and another coach I have in the investing side, Wendy's group. I've learned more in this than I did in my whole bachelor's degree of business management. I honestly, and it's all practical stuff. So no theory, this is real. Right now, I don't have my stuff in order, and I can tell you right now, I am stressed out about the end of the year coming.
Don't be stressed out. We will
It's
walk,
something I have to get it under control before the end of the year. And I have a lot of expenses. I put in a lot of systems in place that aren't turning profits or numbers yet. It's just a snowball.
So Derek,
Yeah.
let me ask you, what are you going to do between now and the end of the year then to help reduce that stress?
I actually have my accountant. She's back. She's letting people come in. So I'm going to sit down with her and get I want to get the chart that you guys have mentioned before, and I didn't know what it was called. So when Karen just said what it was, I wrote it down. So I just downloaded it right now when you said my name. I'm taking that to her and actually using that in my QuickBooks.
Can
I
you
actually start to have
explain to the rest of the team what essentially that is?
chart of accounts?
No, Derek, your interpretation of that.
My interpretations of the chart of accounts.
Yeah, just explain.
I just clicked it and you said my name. I didn't even really look at it yet.
Okay, no worries. So basically, the chart of accounts is a list of all of the expenses and income, labels, if you will, for your business. So if you have
liabilities.
yeah, exactly. Someone in the finance world talking about words. All I know is it goes into a bucket, right? And it's supposed to all be added up to be a certain percentage. So I know if I'm, have X amount of dollars in gross income, according to the model, a certain percentage of that needs to be a certain percentage of that should be on certain expenses. And if whenever if I have the question, where am I? Am I spending more than I should be or less than I should be? I can go back to that and determine what it is.
So this is the chart. Yeah. And what Matt's talking about is the model of your budget, right? How much you should allocate to what, but how do you keep track of what you're spending money on? And that's where this chart comes up. So every time you earn some income on a listing, in QuickBooks, every account has a different number. So it'll go under this number. If it's sales, which is a buyer, it'll be that number. If it's money you got off a referral, you'll enter it under this account. So that's just the income side, right? But then there's cost of sales. What are you paying out to the office? What's going in royalties? Cost of sales, like putting your sign up, things like that. And then salary that you're paying yourself, or if you happen to have an admin, lead generating, advertising, printing, internet lead generation, all these things get drilled down. And it's really easy when you just enter it in like that as soon as the bill shows up or the income shows up. And then all of a sudden at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, you can run these profit and loss statements for yourself. And you can tell if you're bleeding out somewhere, or maybe you're hoarding your money and not spending enough on lead generation. And it's scary when you look at a number that says, oh, I should be spending 40% of, whatever on lead gen. And it's a big number and you're like, holy crap. But it's a model that's been successful for everybody. And if you have faith in it, or at least move closer to that number, right? So that your business can continue to grow.
Aaron,
That's on the
um,
phone. Just noticed. Go ahead, John.
so what you were showing, I don't know if I've ever seen that, but do you have the Excel spreadsheet that Trevor supplied?
That's what
Because,
Trevor gave me. Yeah. And I
oh,
think
that's what he gave. Okay, the one I have that he gave me. And I've never seen the one that one. It shows whether you're in the red or in the black and what the percentage is. Does the one you just showed do the same thing?
did he give you a spreadsheet that has formulas in it that keeps track of your,
Yes.
it's not, okay. So what I got was just simply a chart of accounts so that I could set up my QuickBooks company properly. So it's my QuickBooks that keeps track of all that for me. I don't have a dynamic spreadsheet that does it like that. So it's different.
Okay. And that's why I was asking, because you mentioned Trevor and I didn't see that. I got the
So,
one.
like we said, we're getting close to October 1st, which is when we should be business planning for the next year already, right? And have a good idea. So, what Matt and I will do is we'll sit down together because we've got some resources that we'll share with you guys that gives you the opportunity to memorialize and write down what the past year has looked like. Specifically, where'd your business come from? Was it referrals? Was it direct mail? Was it social media? Was it door knocking? All these things, so that you can just have a picture of what you've done so that you can create a plan for what you're going to do. You know what I mean? You got to have history to create your plan going forward.
Hey, Michelle, curious, any specific takeaway? I know your business is pretty buttoned up. How from last week's sessions on profit and talking about accounting and the models and such, any specific takeaways that you can share with the team?
I got more for the mindset on Thursday as far as profit goes. I have systems that I'm trying to. The biggest thing for me is systems. I'm trying to consistently tweak them to where it's becoming more productive, and so trying to get to the point where I'm spending more time working on my business instead of in my business, and that's been kind of my focus for this year. I still needed a lot of tweaking because what I'm trying to do is balance the investment world with the retail world, and I'm trying to find that balance because it's both they affect one another, and right now it's more in a negative way than a positive way. So that's going to be my focus for the new year, because come October it's going to be 1 year I've been with Keller Williams. So I'm trying to see how to do a better job of balancing that between the two worlds that I'm trying to build.
From a P&L standpoint, accounting standpoint, what system do you currently have in place? Do you have a separate bank account for your real estate?
I do. I have a business account for that.
And all of your expenses come out of that account?
Yes, everything is through that account.
And where do you keep track of everything?
I keep track of it myself in my own little spreadsheet.
Okay.
And then I have my accountant at the end of the year help me analyze everything.
Okay. So you export, like from your bank, you export, or does your bank have some sort of service where you can kind of look at, all of your expenses and such, snapshot for months or quarters, or?
No.
Just types it in.
I just,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, and there's no right or wrong answer. I found myself, here's the thing, guys, with many things, if it's overwhelming, if you're like me, then you just don't do it. Right. If it's overwhelming or it takes too much time, you just don't do it. But guess what? As a business owner, I will promise you that that will catch up to you somehow. Right. Whether you like it or not. So when you're talking about working on the business versus in the business kind of thing, this is one of those things where it's a sucky task, but you have to do it. What I've found for me is that the QuickBooks online version like the cheapest one keeps me, so I tie it with my bank account. So anytime I make an expense, it registers on QuickBooks. And then I've gone into QuickBooks and I've set up the chart of accounts, right? So it's like whatever an expense comes through, right? I just put it in that bucket. So I have to do it basically once a month. And then you can also set rules. So if they see that same expense or that place come in, they can automatically put it in that bucket. So for me, I can very easily, with very little work, look at my P&L statement on the fly, right? And then my accountant goes in and basically, I don't know, does what they do, but it minimizes my hourly rate to pay them because I've done some of the work through the help of a tool, right? Through a system, right? So in a perfect world, I maybe this would be the next type thing that Command would put together for us. But for me, that really works. So at any given time, I can pull up a P&L, and I got to tell you, the more on top of you are of these things, the more enlightened you will be about your business. And then I take it to the next step further, because what my P&L looks like, right, is all my expenses and all my income that's happened to this point. But what I really love about Command right now with the opportunities tab is to look at my potential pipeline, right? So once I start to get a grasp and know what my expenses are, right? Some of them are fixed, some of them are variable or cost of sale, depending on how you Tanzania, what's a fixed expense? Like, give me an example for a real estate agent. What's a fixed expense?
That would be your rent.
Okay, so what you pay for a desk fee. What would be a cost of sale expense in real estate?
Like your signs and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So if you spent money for a specific sign install, that expense doesn't occur until there's a sale, right? Or like a photography or a client gift, right? That's a cost of sale. So by me, just getting my ducks in a row to be able to set this up and do it keeps me really organized. And then I can look and I can do it. And then I can see with opportunities my potential pipeline, right, of the commissions, right? And that helps me keep in line. Am I going towards my goal? Do I need to tweak things, right? Do I have some clarity, like Sharon discussed? Am I over anyone's head here? Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Pretty user friendly as far as being able to, you said it, you have it set up with your account at your.
Yeah. So when I log into QuickBooks, it gives me the transactions that I need to just approve like as in add to a certain bucket, or it might say it doesn't know what to put it in. So I have to click and find that one, but I've already created that bucket, if you will, to put it in. So for me, it works really well. I know that there's other services out there. I've just been using it for a while. So, and then my accountant can log right in, so I don't need to export anything for them.
Do you guys have actual business accounts with your banks, or do you just open like another like personal account?
No, it's a business account.
Yep.
So I've created an LLC.
Yep.
So for tax purposes, through recommendations of my accountant, I created an S corporation. It's a limited liability S corp. I opened a bank account under, that name. That's where my commissions go. That's where my expenses come out of. And that's how I pay myself.
Let me say though, there's a caveat. Matt has his commissions go right into that account because he has a broker's license.
It's true. That's true.
So-
If you don't have an associate broker's license, your commissions will still go into your personal account, but there's
Right.
nothing stopping you from moving them into that business.
Which is what I do.
Right.
So the money goes into my personal account. I immediately transfer it from one to the other because everything's electronic online banking anyway. And then I cut myself my salary, right? Because a percentage of it stays with my business and a percentage of it goes to me. And I have to tell you that it has alleviated this pressure and this stress, because when you've got all the money commingled in your own personal account, you spend it. You just do. But when you've got it split up, that money that's hanging out in your business account is money you spend on your business without guilt, right? Right. You treat it differently.
And maybe we're talking business wise, maybe for you guys and this sidebar, but you know, that commingling of money really, for me, like it just, well, I have with Fidelity, I've actually created separate accounts. We have a vacation fund. It's just a vacation account, right? And it's a zero, it's really a low interest bearing account, but we put money in there each month, right? Automatically. That's what we're, you know, so when we look and we say, okay, we're going to go on vacation, we're going to plan a vacation, that's the money that we have saved for that. I've got, you know, other funds for different goals that we have as well. So beyond business, it's important to hold your money accountable.
Can I ask a tax question?
Of course.
So I'm not clear on if we have to pay quarterly or if it's just suggested you pay quarterly. And how do you go about that?
Well, first of all, you should speak to an accountant because
Yes.
I am not a tax professional. When I get a notice that I've, you know, my quarterly taxes are
Has
being
to be,
paid, I didn't even do it. It's done, right? And I pay for that. But where you're at right now in your business, you should definitely talk to somebody who can give you some guidance. And this is one of those things, guys, just like real estate professionals, right? There's all these technology services that can help with, you know, LegalZoom and all these different things that may help answer some questions, but I do think you need a professional on your side, right? Someone who knows self-employed businesses specifically. They don't necessarily have to be like a master of real estate agents, but self-employed, because I don't know the answer to your question. Perhaps if it's under a certain amount, you don't need to. Maybe it is. The last thing that I'd want is for you to get some sort of ding or penalty because you didn't pay. Because at the end of the day, whether you did or you didn't, the government's going to get their money, right? And they may, and if you haven't been putting it away or haven't been planning accordingly, they're gonna send you a big old bill. So definitely talk to somebody about it, and then if that's the case, start putting aside that money.
Okay.
This is the biggest difference that most people have of being an independent contractor is that when I worked for another employer, they would pay me a check and taxes were taken out of that. Money went into a 401k, you know, what money paid for our medical benefits, and what was left over was mine. And at the end of the year, I would file a tax return and maybe I would get some back that I paid. As an independent contractor, you make a $10,000 commission, you know, after your office split, you get the rest of that. And you many agents don't realize, I know it seems so elementary, they don't realize that the government still hasn't been paid. And not just the federal government, state, federal.
They
Social
realize
Security.
it, but they've got this bill they have to pay off first, or they want to put a new deck on. So I'll just pay my taxes off the next commission check I get, and I'll just save that one. And it just turns into this cycle where all of a sudden you're at the end of the year and the tax man comes and says, you need to write a check for $19,000. And you're like,
I didn't make
"What?"
that much money. Yes, I did.
You're like, yeah, you did. So
Can I ask a question for you both? When did you decide that it was time to have a company instead of like an LLC?
well, the same thing.
I've done from day one, but because I had a business set up with someone else. But that's another question for an accountant, is not just your situation in terms of how much you make and do you have to pay quarterly, but does an LLC structure make sense for you? Right?
Well, there's different LLC structures,
There are.
right?
And that's, again, all, and tax code changes every year. So, I mean, again, I don't think that there's a cut and dry. You should start doing some research online. Look for, you know, but talk to a professional.
I
right?
wouldn't, and to answer your question of what made me decide, exactly what I just said a second ago. I was paying my estimated taxes every quarter, but thankfully my business was increasing each year. So I was still in April getting hit with more money because my estimated taxes weren't catching up. And I finally, I think it was after like 3 years or 4, I was stressed out knowing that April was coming. It would like freak me out. I would split my money up into a savings account and checking, and then another one for taxes. Like I was trying to do my best, but I just decided I have to treat this like a business, like a real business. Because where I used to work, I was a director of operations, and I used to lead the people that were entering all the invoices and the bills in the QuickBooks. You know, I was like, this needs to be more professional. I'm not going to keep doing it this way. So it was a mindset and a thought. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, Sharon and Matt,
Yep.
I could offer Legion, not necessarily for tax purposes, but for asset protection. You may want to go to an LLC in case you get sued.
But that's another question to ask a tax accountant, because depending on how that LLC is structured, if it still flows through your personal stuff, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. But none of us are lawyers and tax accountants, so. But those are good questions. Those are things.
Well, it's not really a tax question. It's an asset protection in case you get sued.
Yeah, well,
They can sue
again,
business,
I'm
they
not
can sue you.
suited to answer that. So
Yeah. So do some research. It's not necessarily something you have to wait until you're a mega producer to have a conversation with, because again, many agents that don't lay the groundwork or even ask the questions or talk to somebody, get themselves in a sticky situation. So
it's actually probably easier to do when you don't have a ton of stuff to keep track of.
yeah. But just like anything, right? Knowing your numbers, tracking your numbers. I was just updating today because when I meet with Rob, what are your appointments? How many appointments did you go on? What did you convert them? I was updating mine. That's knowing your numbers. This is the same. This is knowing your numbers, both your income and listen, this business is relatively easy because a commission's one time paid, right? It's not like you have to track 52, income dollar amounts of $10 to $100. It's a big commission. Be tracking your expenses, right? Right. Do you utilize a mileage calculator? I've got an app on my phone. Sharon, do you use the same? So I've got,
used to, but then they made you pay for it at one point.
yeah, I track my mileage through something called Mile IQ. So, it's constantly knows where I'm at. Every time I get in the car and drive somewhere, it asks, how do you want to classify that? But I can classify a drive as personal or business. And then at the end of the month, once I've classified all my drives, it tells me, my dollar amounts for each month based on the federal.
Yeah.
So
I've been trying to do a better job of keeping track of that. So what I did was I started to, every time I do like business driving, I kind of pay attention. And on my Google Calendar, because I have access to it on my phone, on the Sunday day block, it says mileage dash whatever 38, and then if I go more, I go back to that Sunday and I add 15 more and whatever. So I know I can go back and just look at all the Sundays and add them up. That's what I happen to be doing right now.
Got it. And maybe an accountant will tell you something differently. I know that you have, I've looked in the opportunities for my LLC paying my expenses, and my accountants advised me based on my situation, it's the best just to do a per mileage write-off.
Yes.
Right. So everyone's
I'd
a little
like to
differently.
do that.
But again, if you don't track your numbers, just like everything else, all right. And I know no one got in this business of real estate to be like an accountant, right? So you either have to do it yourself or pay someone to do it. And I'll tell you right now, there are tools that allow you to do it yourself and assist your accountant to be able to save some money.
I found an article that I put a link to in the chat from Outfront KW magazine. It's just about the budget model. And I was looking for a video. A lot of them are older. But back when Trevor was teaching that class, we weren't COVID blessed, right? So it wasn't recorded, and I'm not sure if there's another one since then. Anyway.
I love it. Derek, you had mentioned something when we were talking about all these dollars that you were spending on different things. Did you mean in terms of like generating leads or like business? Okay.
Yeah, like when I signed up with Zillow and I signed up with when I didn't have any knowledge of what to do, and I just
throwing money at the wall.
Throwing money, empty my pockets like as a nightclub or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And a lot of agents and a lot of teams do that as well. And I did it. We spent a lot of money. And one of the thing is, Can you have a good return on some things? Absolutely. But if you don't track your numbers in terms of, like Sharon said, let me paint this picture. We were spending a lot of money through online lead generation, Facebook ads and this and that. And I went through all of our team's deals and specifically the source of where that business was. And by and large, and this goes with a lot of people's businesses, the major source that we were spending, or the major source that we were driving business from was sphere of influence and referrals. Yet that was the field that we were spending the least amount of money in terms of investing in our business. So here we were online lead generation. We were spending whatever dollar amount on it, but we weren't holding those dollars accountable to say, what's the return on this investment, right? How much money are we making off of this? And that completely changed everything, right? But we only had insight because we looked into it deeper rather than just, well, I think it's working. I feel like it's working.
That's how Zillow is for me right now. You get a phone call, but you don't realize that you spent $800 a month for the 4 phone calls. And the next thing you know, you're driving. That's why I'm always out there in Armada. So I'm driving 45 miles out there, 45 miles back. Then, hey, can we go look at this house, this house, this house? And once again, I spend more time driving for tire kickers than I'm ever going to make back on my Zillow. For me.
If you can say, you know, here's the amount of money that I've spent on this lead source. This is $5,000 total. And this is the revenue that I've generated from this lead source. That's $20,000. That's a 4X return, right? Spent 5 to get 20. That's not a bad investment, but you don't know that unless you dig in and you can truly look at it. Okay.
Yep.
So
I'm going to share a document as soon as I can get my fingers on it that I just got from my own coach this morning. And it is about analyzing where you got all your business from. So
ooh, that's a nice one.
Let me see if I can find it.
While you're finding that on a note, you know, I utilized Command at a pretty high level regarding opportunities in my deals, but you know, you cannot take a old fashioned spreadsheet from me. I keep a spreadsheet of all of my deals, and I'm happy to share with people of what that looks like. I'm actually going to pull it up now.
I don't know why I can't.
So this is a simple spreadsheet that I keep. And for me, I'm super organized. I like the way that this goes. What's the date of the closing, the contract, the last name, the address, what side I repped, how many days on market, was the list price, the contract price, percentage. What was the percentage of commission? GCI, how much I got a transaction fee? Did I give, you know, if I hadn't capped yet, how much of it did I give to the market center? You know, where was the lead source? What lender did they use? Who was the co-op agent that I worked with? Like all of these things, I track it all. So you could, at any given time, I could tell you all its bits and pieces about my business. For me, that keeps me organized. And again, you know your numbers. When you know your numbers, you can make good decisions going forward in your business.
So I found it. I uploaded it, but I'll show it to you quickly as well. All right, can you see that? So this is just going back and looking at 2020 and your sources, right? So how many transactions do you have from past clients? Sphere of influence, expireds, for sale by owners, your GeoFarm, just listed, just sold, postcard type activity. Allied resources, right? So attorneys, mortgage people that might have referred somebody to you, other realtors referring something to you. I mean, there's so many sources here, right?
Yeah.
Relocations, staff referrals, sign calls, advertising, website, direct mail, social media, open houses, internal sales aid, you know, which associates, which obviously you guys don't have. And then the cost of securing that business, right? So if it was direct mail, how much did you spend on the postcards, right? Or if it was an open house, how much did you spend on the flyers or maybe buying a case of water or whatever, right? You did for that open house. And then how much income did you earn from that deal? You subtract one from the other, and that tells you what your net income was by source. And then it goes down a little further here. You know, how many people do you have in your database? How many agents do you have in your referral network? It's just getting a snapshot of what your world looks like and maybe what is untapped, right? Or what you should focus on more and what you should let go. So I would encourage you guys, print this out, download it, and over the next couple weeks, like, do this. Because as we start planning for next year, like we said, October 1st, right? You start planning for next year. You need to know where you were and where you came from before you can figure out where you're going.
Hey Sharon,
Yes.
someone told me something a long time ago, and it's kind of stuck with me. It said, treat your business and your tracking and everything as if you were going to try to sell it one day. And if you were to buy a business, what would you want to know about that business, right? You're going to want to know everything about it, right? So treat your business as if you were going to sell it one day. And again, I know this kind of stuff is like super boring, and it's for the type of people that aren't spreadsheet driven, right? It's just not something that you want to worry about, but I will assure you, it will keep you on track to being successful and staying in this business. And then, you know, there's lots of ways to minimize the amount of pay in your taxes, because taxes are no joke. But if you structure your business right and talk with your accountant and do things within the guidelines, you will be able to avoid taxes, right? And keep more of your own money. It's one of the benefits of being a business owner, guys. Well, the wealthiest people in this country are what? Business owners. They're not doctors. They're not lawyers. They're business owners, right? And they're not all shady. So,
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, mindset. Michelle, the last session from there was mindset, and it was kind of just, okay, go out in the world and apply everything that you've learned. You said you got a lot out of that. Share with us a little bit.
I didn't see that one yet.
Well, just with Molly focusing on like we have the 6 principles, and then we have the E to P, and then trying to, instead of trying to do everything at once, trying to focus on the one thing that would be the best in your business right now. And that's what because it's like I know when I first joined Keller Williams, it was just overwhelming because you were thrown all these different resources and things, and it was just very overwhelming to know which direction to go. And now that we've been in, now that I've been in the office a while, and now I've learned some of these, I've learned more over the last 6 months than in years. So as far as investing and just retail side, that I just need to kind of focus on the one thing that is going to help me get the business that I need to be where I want to be overall.
And part of that exercise is like what we were just talking about. You need to go back and not what you think or where you think your business is coming from, but really by the numbers, analyze it, so you can make an educated decision.
Right.
I got this from Tom Ferry a while ago. I went to a conference and he was there, and I'm a big I have like to-do list, right? Everybody loves to-do lists, right? Notepads, little whatever, stickies. He had suggested for someone like myself to have, instead of a to-do list, to have a do, doing, and done list.
Yep.
Do, doing, and done. Derek, you've heard this, right?
I got Michelle. Shay from Tom Ferry's group. Yeah, she has me.
Good. So the do list is things you need to do, right? So this, Michelle, this is where I would write all of those things that you want to do, right? That you want to implement today or maybe someday, but these are the things that I want to do. And then you prioritize what is the most important. And then the doing, those are the ones that you're kind of, they might take a while to do, right? You're working on them, right? It's building this, or it's planning that, or it's whatever. And then the done is where everything moves to when it is complete, right? And that gives you that satisfaction of seeing those things done. So I keep it in one document so I can just look at it, right? And I can determine what needs my focus right now. So don't be overwhelmed with all the things that were thrown at you, right? Like Michelle, all right? I know it's drinking through a fire hose, right? but put down the things that you think you need to do, right? And then prioritize and take a big chunk, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So figure out the things that are going to be that you want to do, but then just dedicate a week to this, a week to that, 2 weeks to this, whatever it is, right? But that doesn't mean forget about the rest of the things. Still keep them on your list. Just tackle them at a later time, because you're not going to know it all. You will never know it all, but you chunk it down, right? And it goes back to the one thing book and blah, blah, blah. But okay. So anyone else have any thoughts? We've focused the Monday sessions really quite on recapping BOLD. And we're going to continue to obviously have sessions. The conversation is going to be a little bit different. And, Sharon and I have actually been talking about restructuring things a little bit. We want to continue to provide value for you guys. We want to continue to pour into you, and we want to show up how you need us to show up. Okay. And what I mean by that is that, everyone on this call is at a different stage in their business, right? And has different goals. And that's great. The thing, and I think Sharon and I kind of try to talk to you guys about this, whatever your goals are your goals. And there's no judgment on it.
Oh, shit. What's up, broski? What's wrong?
Whoa, hey.
I muted him. I got
Yeah,
it.
That was funny. So we want to show up for you guys how you need us to show up, regardless of what your goals are. But in order for us to have a better understanding of that, we're actually going to kind of do a recheck-in, right? So something that we're going to be implementing with brand new agents that join the program is asking them, what type of agent what kind of bucket do they kind of fit in terms of where they want their business to be. We're labeling it as an agent A, an agent B, or an agent C. And again, I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but there's absolutely no judgment behind it. I don't want you to think you have to be an agent A because that's the cool thing to do. If you're going to, based on the parameters you want your business to be, you want to be classified as agent B, awesome. Okay. But my point is that an agent A is going to be the type of agent that we expect to go all in. You are working this job full time. You are held to a higher accountability in terms of the number of contacts and the things that you have to do for your business, because that's where you're telling us you want to be.
Yeah.
And
It's like permission to push you. Like,
exactly.
you're gonna do it.
We're going to be running. You better be along with us. Agent B has similar goals, but cannot commit to necessarily the same, full-time structure or number of hours, or doesn't want to. And then agent C is going to be an agent that's here to basically learn things. Maybe they're doing investments. Maybe they just want to be part-time and they're going to stay part-time and they're looking for additional income and whatnot. And that's okay too, right?
More of a hobbyist side of it, right? It's what they just kind of do on the side.
Exactly. And the agent C might be really, really happy making $20,000 a year. But for agent A, they're looking to make $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year. And both are great, right? But
and
as
you can
coaches,
move from one to the other, right?
Exactly. Yeah, maybe agent B has aspirations to be agent A. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to be in a little different situation, but we want more clarity in terms of the agents that are coming into the program so we can show up the way that they want. At the same time, I'm going to propose it all to you guys, right, via email, to fill out this short form to give us a better idea of where you feel that you fit in and where you want to be. Okay, so look for that soon. It's going to be a Google form. It's a really easy thing. Please, for our benefit and your benefit, complete it, right? And Sharon and I are kind of just reallocating the roster a little bit so we have a good understanding of who fits into those, so we can continue to show up and develop maybe a different type of accountability for people at different levels. Does that make sense? Awesome.
And then once we have all that put together, the coaching sessions are going to coincide with that, right? Because we want to show up for you guys. So there's going to be certain coaching sessions that are like fast lane, go. And if a C or a B wants to listen in and kind of soak it in, that's awesome. But the pace and the content is going to be for A.
And the fierce accountability.
Yeah.
Because guys, if you is it possible to make $20,000 a year in this business?
Yeah.
Is it possible to make $200,000 in this business? If
Yep.
someone else has done it, can it be done again?
Yes.
Yep.
Safe to say though, the amount of actions and the work that's required to make 200,000 is different than 20,000, right?
I haven't done anything in that 20.
Well, if you want to make the 200, right? We're going to be able to push you and require a little different level of showing up. So look for that. Look for that email. Maybe you guys have seen, I've transitioned from a different email. So if you ever email me or whatever, please use mmarsupian@gmail.com. I still check the other one. I still have the Metro Group email, but I'm transitioned out of that. So if you can update your contact in your phone and your email for me, just so I make sure that I don't miss anything from you. You're going to get that email with that Google form this week. If you have any questions about it, please feel free. There's going to be a little section in there. Put any other notes, any things that you think it's pertinent for you, your situation, what you want out of us, what we can do for you. I also going to propose the question of what do you guys want to do long term? Do you want to just be a super mega agent and sell a bunch of houses? Do you want to build a team? Do you want to, do you have aspirations to be in a leadership position? Do you like the idea of being a coach? Do you want to be a team leader? Would you love to own a market center one day? I want to propose some questions there. Big thinking, because one of the things that Keller Williams has taught me is that opportunities will come, right? And they'll come when you're not even looking. And there's plenty of them, not just in our market center, but other market centers. So I would like to know those things for you guys as well. Okay. Coffee with the team leader tomorrow morning at 9:30. There is a class I saw on the calendar. I don't know if it's tomorrow or Wednesday, but it's like utilizing or leveraging your lender with Brent Wilson from Silverline. I think that's probably a good one to go if you guys are if you're in a position where you're still learning about mortgages and financing and how a lender can help you get your buyer's offers accepted. So that might be worth noting. Last week was a really great class. I taught with Dan Naranjo. It was on Friday. The recording's on the YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it already, I thought that was a really good one. I enjoyed doing that. And I know Henry, actually, he had to sign off. Henry utilized some of those tactics, and he had multiple offers. Oh, there you go. He had multiple offers on his own listing, right? This weekend, right?
That class couldn't have, came at a better time for me. And
Awesome.
I was talking to Sharon this morning, how we covered it last week. And then again, Wednesday, really helped me out.
Awesome. So how many offers did you get in your house?
6.
6 offers.
Nice.
And did you accept one?
I did. Yeah, we have one accepted offer. I notified everyone else what was going on, and wife and I are pretty happy.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the help, guys.
And like I told you, even though that was your personal house, you leverage that experience with, continue, right? There's nothing better than getting a house under contract, right? And having that proof of sale and then rolling that in. So you better inundate your neighborhood, your sphere, like everyone, right?
That whole Lakes area, all of that
exactly.
right on there.
Yeah, it was a huge learning experience from, knocking on doors to, hosting the 2 open houses myself to dealing with some agents that were trying to bully me a little bit and dealing with a very difficult seller as well.
You're not naming names, but I get you. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, congratulations. All right, you guys. As always, appreciate you. Let us know if you have any questions or anything. And
We'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see you Thursday.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.